And the new leader of the Green Party of Canada, Annamie Paul, joins me now. First of all, Ms. Paul, congratulations on your victory.
Oh, thank you so much, Peter. I really appreciate that.
You are taking over the leadership from Elizabeth May, who spent almost 14 years trying to build growing support for the Green Party. And I guess let's start there. What is it you would be doing differently than Elizabeth May's done to try and build the Greens?
Well, I certainly wouldn't be trying to deviate from the winning parts of her formula, and there were a lot of them. When we started, we had 6,000 members when she was elected, and we have, I don't know the total today because we're still gaining members each day, but the last count was close to 35,000. And we have 3 members in our caucus, which is the most that any Green Party in a first past the post system has anywhere in the world. So that's a tremendous accomplishment. In my case, I want to make sure that I'm talking about the ways that green policies are helping Canadians now, the things that we've been talking about for years, like guaranteed livable income and universal pharmacare and long-term care reform. We're very much known for our climate policies, and we're in a climate emergency, but it's important that people in Canada know that we have a 360-degree plan to make life better for them.
Some of the things you've talked about, those priorities are the same priorities that Liberals talk about, that New Democrats talk about. So what makes the Greens different?
That we talked about them first. And we've been talking about them the longest. And even as recently as 2019 in the last election, when I ran as a candidate, we were still the only ones talking about them. I know that in a 24-hour news cycle, everyone's memory is a lot shorter than it used to be. But in 2019, I was out there talking about the need for guaranteed livable income to help people in the constituency I was running in, and I just heard crickets from the Liberals and the NDP. And so if people want the originator, the original source of these ideas, if they want to see more of the same, then they really should be looking at the Green Party of Canada.
All right, you've during the leadership run in the last couple of days, you've talked about your diversity and how you will use the platform you've now been given to talk about the need for change in Canada. How will you try to drive that change?
Well, I'm immediately a conversation starter on that change, right? I still am having an incredible outpouring of messages from all across the country, from people who are saying that now they see themselves in politics, and that what they thought was impossible before now feels possible to them. And so our Green members, in their wisdom, and I thank them for it, really made a very intentional choice to signify that if people are looking for a place of diversity and inclusion, that's the Green Party of Canada. And I look forward to spreading the word.
You're running for the Greens in the by-election in Toronto Centre on October 26th, but you ran in that election as well in the general election in that riding in 2019. But none of the other parties so far seems inclined to give you a free pass in Toronto Centre by standing down their candidates because you now are the leader of a party to make room for you. In particular, the NDP won't stand down their candidate in Toronto Centre, even though the Greens didn't run a candidate in Burnaby against Jagmeet Singh when he ran for a seat in the House. How do you feel about that?
Stoic. As someone who is accustomed to having to overcome a lot of barriers in order to achieve, there's still a lot of barriers that women like me face. This is just another one. I left it to the other parties to decide what they wanted to do. They've made their choice, and so we are just going to deal with the situation that we face. The facts on the ground.
Sure. I mean, you finished 4th in Toronto Centre in the general election 2019, and you have slammed the notion of parachuting in candidates to the riding. So here's my question: if you don't win there in the by-election, will you run somewhere else? Because if you do run somewhere else, wouldn't that make you a parachute candidate in another riding?
No, I am no. When I talk about parachuting a candidate in, I talk about this, yet again another candidate that was appointed from outside of the riding to represent people in Toronto Centre. But in my case, if I'm invited by the people in the riding, if I go through the nomination process like any other person presenting themselves to represent that community, then that's certainly not a parachute. And I have no interest in displacing our strong Green candidates who did really, really well. And, some of them came in second and got over 25% of the vote. I have no interest in displacing those strong candidates either. So, I will only go to communities where I'm welcome, and there are many of them all across the country that have already invited me. It's been very touching.
A lot of Greens campaigned on moving the party to the left, some of the other candidates in the race, and they call themselves eco-socialists. Others called for boycotts against Israel. How will you deal with those elements who want Greens to make a hard turn left?
Well, first, I congratulate the other candidates for a wonderful race and for introducing many new ideas into the conversation in the Green Party. And I would remind people that is what a healthy democracy looks like. That is what a healthy party looks like, where the power isn't all concentrated, where the ideas aren't all the same. And so that's great. And so in terms of all the new people who joined, in terms of all the people who supported those candidates, I tell them that they're welcome in our party as long as they support our core Green values. I'm open to having a very robust conversation with them about the direction we want our party to go in. And so that's the beauty of having core values. We can have those values and then have lots of conversations. And that's a very healthy thing.
All right, let's finish on this. I guess the first big test for your leadership is deciding whether Greens will vote against the speech from the throne. What's your decision?
Well, we've been talking about it at that as a caucus. And Peter, I hope you will stay tuned for our press conference tomorrow. I can say perhaps as a preview that it was extremely disappointing not to hear the party doing things that people in Canada have been waiting a long time for them to do, including having a national inquiry into long-term care and sitting down with the provinces to talk about how we make sure that that scandal, this ongoing scandal, never happens again. I was very sad to see there was no talk of a guaranteed livable income. And certainly we're in the middle of a climate emergency. And so if you're not talking about real targets that match the science, then you're just completely left out of the conversation.
All right, Annamie Paul, congratulations once more, and I look forward to a chance to chat again. Take care.
Thank you so much, Peter.